To touch on the transfer window issue to begin with, what's the common sense reason that it goes on beyond the start of the season?
I don't know. I can't remember why it got changed in the first place. Now I can't remember why the window brought in now. Yeah, so no, it's just something you get used to, you have to deal with, but it's not. I think I'll be speaking for a lot of managers where they'll be saying they don't take a breath till it closes. But it's part and parcel of what we have to manage and what we have to do, and sometimes they're harder than others. Sometimes they're harder work than others. Sometimes you get better results than others. That's how it is. But I think what you have to do is accept what it is and fight for every little bit to make sure that you come out of it in the best possible position that you could be in.
Would that, though, be the same if the deadline was the Friday before the start of the season? Because you're all competing. I know you're all in the same boat, aren't you? But at least you wouldn't lose a star player or not have a whole squad a month into the season.
You could, I think. But what it does, it just pushes that bit of work early. So, for example, in an ideal world, as soon as the window opens, you get all your signings done. Come the first day of pre-season, you're working together. You got 6 weeks before the season starts. By the end of August, everyone's bedded in. Everyone knows what they're doing. The longer the window goes on, so it's going right up till September, you push that work back, you want to work the players another 2 months, you're talking, November time before you're probably happy with how things are going. So I think, but every club's in the same boat, so I don't think it handicaps any particular club. I just think it's a way of working that, it's frustrating, and I think the clubs that have the most turmoil and change around can find it a bit more difficult than the ones who've progressed and planned and everything's gone to plan.
Well, perhaps case in point, I mean, you obviously, you're drip feeding players in when the season's already underway. People like Sousa obviously are still getting up to speed. Harmer made his debut the other day. Others are still to come. Yeah,
but we've got to manage it, so we'll manage it. And again, some of those situations are slightly different because Vinny didn't get any game time before then. Do you know what I mean? Tom Davis has been training his own no game time before. Gus a little bit different and probably a little bit more what you class as normal. Yeah, he was recovering from an injury over the summer, but he's had pre-season games. He's had the 2 first games of Coventry's season, so that's a bit more standard, which we'd expect. But like I say, we've got to roll with it. We've got to make sure we do the best with it, but at the same time, keep getting those players further along the line, both in terms of the physical fitness and how we want to play, and getting them into our system, getting them comfortable with what we're asking them to do.
And in terms of getting up to speed, how much was it? Did you see kind of you personally see a marked improvement, or just possibly even an improvement in Larousse, given his involvement in the game down at Forest the other day?
He's got to settle. Again, he's getting more comfortable with what we're asking from him. Listen, sometimes our environment, I think, is pretty simple, but not everyone believes what you say. I'm expecting mistakes. If we're going to compete with these clubs, if we're going to compete with Man City week on week, we have to be fearless, and we have to be at our very best to go and win those games. To be at your very best, you can't be holding back. And you hear me talk about it all the time, that is our approach, that's how we want to play. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it'll cost us, but we want to keep improving. So I think when people come in, for me to say I'm expecting them to make mistakes, don't be worried about mistakes. It's going to be a big part of what we're asking you to do. You're going to be pushed a little bit further. It takes a little bit of getting used to sometimes.
In a fixture such as the one that's on the horizon, the narrative will always be, what can the lower ranked team do to eke out a result? But how do you get at teams like City?
I'm not going to go into what we spoke about. Like one, I'd be giving fuel to the fire. Do you know what I mean? Until we'd be giving things away. I said we've just got to be at our very, very best. There's going to be moments where we're going to have to be a bit aggressive and take risks. We know that if we want to get a result, create chances, score goals. But at the same time, you have to accept that they're the moments where they can capitalise and get their good moments. So there's a little bit of cat and mouse there. We know that. We could see the levels in the FA Cup semi-final. Mistakes were punished and the game went away from us, so we know we've got to almost play the perfect game.
And how much do the circumstances around the semi-final maybe you learn from that for this one, or is it just so different because they've got a different team, clearly the key player, Haaland and all of that, but or are you expecting something similar this time around?
What, from the game? No, I think their team will be different. Obviously ours is very much different. So it's different occasion. But I think tactically, we know what City pose, what problems they pose, and what they try and do against certain teams, and what they'll try and do against our system. What we don't know is the personnel that's going to be in those key positions, which they try and hold. So that's going to change the dynamic of the game. And so long as we're prepared enough, I think once the teams come out 75 minutes before, that's the last bit of detail. Rather than really flood the players now, we're preparing for the things which we know are going to happen, and then the finer bits of detail when you really know what the dynamic Six team will only be when we see the team sheet.
Just finally, a couple of bits on transfer window stuff. Why hasn't the Archer deal got done? What's the delay?
Oh, it's out of my hands. I don't know. So it's pointless me saying it's not happening. I'm hoping it's happening. I would have loved, and Cameron would have loved to have got it over the line to be involved on Sunday, but we haven't done it yet.
And in terms of the other plates that are spinning, are you sort of fairly relaxed about the fact that they'll get done at some point into next week?
I'm not relaxed about it. I'm not relaxed about it. No, there's deals there to be done. We can get deals done, no problem. We want to make sure we come out the window with the best possible outcome. So if we have to hold off a little bit, but there's going to come a point where we can't wait any longer and we move. That's it. But then likewise, we have to be able to see them adding to the team, to the squad, to the group. Otherwise, there's no point.